Hey guys, and welcome to Jason Talks Fragrance. My name is Jason, and I'm back with another cologne review. I'd also like to welcome you to the first video of my new format. I really hope you guys enjoy it, and let me know what you think. Today we're going to be talking about a brand new cologne that's out for April 2016, and I think it's going to be a very popular one. This is going to be another Dior Sauvage. This will probably be something like the one EDP. It's going to be a talked about fragrance, and it is very nice. So let's get right into it. The fragrance we're going to talk about today comes from the House of Burberry. Burberry was founded in 1856 by Thomas Burberry, a very religious Baptist who started his fashion career as a draper apprentice, not somebody who makes curtains or drapes. He lived all his life in England, and he was born in 1835 and died in 1926. Burberry is most commonly known for its iconic trench coat and its tartan pattern. A tartan pattern can be thought of as a crisscrossing pattern, like a check type pattern. It can be found on men's kilts. Another example might be like on this tie clip. That would be the tartan pattern. The Burberry company has grown to be one of the largest fashion houses in all of England, and they were actually given a royal warrant to make clothing by the royal family. Something else they're popularly known for is their fragrances. They have about 60 fragrances out. They also have men's and women's clothing, outerwear, outdoors wear, boots, sunglasses, hats, scarves, you name it. They do it all. The perfumer behind this fragrance is Francis Kurkdjian. Francis Kurkdjian actually has his own fragrance line called Maison Francis Kurkdjian. He's famous for some of the big name fragrances that we may know: Jean Paul Gaultier Le Male, Jean Paul Gaultier Le Beau, Jean Paul Gaultier Ultra Male, Narciso Rodriguez for him, Armani Mania, just to name a few. He also did Dior Homme Cologne. This guy is a legend in the industry, and he has made some beautiful scents. And I must say that the one that we're going to be talking about today is no exception. The guy is a genius. The fragrance we're going to be talking about today is none other than Mr. Burberry. Mr. Burberry is the new release for April 2016, and the Mr. Burberry fragrance that I have here is the 100 ml or 3.3 fluid ounce bottle. You'll notice that the bottle is a glass bottle, see-through, says Mr. Burberry up top. On the bottom you have a serial number. It says Eau de Toilette, made in France. You'll see that the cap is a nice round circle, very sturdy. The cap, you can kind of hold this one a little bit by the cap. It's strong. You'll notice there's a ribbon here, which is not the most manly of features, but there's a specific reason that this ribbon is here. The ribbon is actually here to show you the fabric that Thomas Burberry actually created and is famous for, called Gardine. And it is like a tightly woven fabric. It's also like what the waterproof linings for the trench coats were. If you look at the top, it'll say Burberry, established 1856. Around the top, the top here is non-magnetic. It's just a pull-off cap. As I said, very firm. Has a black atomizer. If we take a look at the box here, you'll see it says Mr. Burberry up top. It says the Eau de Toilette. On the bottom, you have your serial number in gray. You'll have your barcode, and you'll have some safety information, ingredient information. It also talks more about the ingredients on the back. Now, if we actually look at the bottle, you'll see that the bottle has a black atomizer, and we'll give it a spray here. You get a thinner spray, but a good distribution on that spray. The notes for Mr. Burberry are as follows. The top notes are grapefruit, cardamom, and tarragon. The middle and heart notes are birch leaf, nutmeg, and cedar. The base notes are sandalwood, guaiac wood, and vetiver. When I smell this fragrance, I definitely get a lot of the birch leaf. I get a lot of the sandalwood. I get the vetiver. I get the guaiac wood. I'm not really getting a lot of the grapefruit, and I'm not getting a lot of the nutmeg. I am getting a little bit of the cardamom and a little bit of the tarragon, but primarily the woodsy notes are what you're getting on the opening of this, as well as a little bit of spice there, but not heavy like nutmeg spice or anything like that. And then when it dries down, it becomes a little bit more boozy. A little bit of the sandalwood and vetiver and a little bit of the spice comes out, the cardamom. So to me, those are probably the most prevalent notes in this particular composition. In terms of projection for this one, I have to kind of grade this on a sliding scale. If we're talking about the first 2 hours of the fragrance, projection is a 9 or 10. It really is a strong, masculine fragrance that really wafts off you really nicely. However, the reason that this is a sliding scale is due to the fact that from a longevity standpoint, after about 4 hours, it becomes a skin scent. As most of the fragrances, this is the same problem with Dior Sauvage. And I don't know if it is a strategic move by the fragrance companies to try to sell an EDP later on, but unfortunately, a lot of the fragrances that are coming out, a lot of the very hyped ones, happen to not perform as well after a couple of hours. So to give an actual number rating, I would say that in the first, again, 2 hours, this is about an 8 or 9 out of 10. And I would say that after about 4 hours, this drops down to a 2 out of 10 in terms of projection. In longevity, I would have to give this a solid 5. You do get a good, strong, maybe 2 to 4 hours, depending on your skin type, of projection. On clothing projection, it's a little bit better. But again, it's a strong projector early on. But really, because it is a skin scent after just a couple of hours, this is only going to get a 5 out of 10 for me. In terms of season for wear, you can go 2 ways with this one. This one can be a very versatile all-year fragrance. Again, with the fragrances that are a little bit heavier, maybe a little bit boozy or a little bit floral, you really are going to want to try to do a hot summer day or a cold winter day. Again, because this is such a strong fragrance, it's going to project well in the cold weather. And in the hot weather, when your body temperature heats up, it's going to give you that really wafting projection. So it's going to be a nice fragrance for those 2 seasons. It's versatile enough to wear it all year round. Now, in terms of an age group for this, I would say that this will play well at the high school level, the college level, and even for the professional gentleman in a suit and tie. This isn't really a fragrance that is overly mature or overly youthful. So you're going to be able to wear this, in any situation. You can grow with this fragrance. And it is, again, a very masculine fragrance. It's not feminine at all. And it's very, I would say it's very sensual. This would be a date night fragrance. Definitely, this would be, something that you can even hang out in, wear around the house. I wouldn't say it is so much of a church fragrance, but it would be appropriate for work, and it would be appropriate for, going out with friends, and going out to the club. In the club situation, you may have to reapply once while you're out, just because, again, there are some longevity problems there. In terms of similar scents, there are 2 scents that came to mind When I smelled this fragrance originally, I got a very strong feeling of nostalgia. I knew this fragrance, and I couldn't put my finger on where it was from. And a lot of guys aren't going to know the fragrance that I'm referring to unless you're from Canada, because this is a Canadian fragrance. It's very popular over there, and it's manufactured in Canada. And that fragrance is called Roots. Roots is actually a fragrance that I found at the Canada Pavilion in Epcot in Walt Disney World. And the opening of Roots almost exactly matches the opening of Mr. Burberry, with the exception that Roots is just a tinge stronger. But they're very, very close to each other. Now, when we talk about the dry down, a similar fragrance would also be the Armani Code, the Armani Code Profumo, which has a boozy dry down. So it really opens kind of floral, and it dries down into the booziness. So if these two had a baby, you would get the Mr. Burberry fragrance here. And again, these are both very good fragrances. So you combine the two and get this one, you're going to end up with a very good fragrance. In terms of price and availability, you're going to find this bottle, the 3.3 or 100 ml bottle, is going to run you anywhere between $80 and $100. It is a newer bottle, so you're not going to see a ton of discounting on it just yet. You probably will not see it on the fragrance discounting sites for, I would guess, at least 3/4 of a year. So you might see it for this Christmas on the discounting sites. But this one you can pick up at Macy's. It's out as of last week. And again, this particular bottle runs $80. The smaller bottle, or the 1.7 ounce, the 50 ml, will run you somewhere in the area of $60. And there is a 150 ml, the super large bottle. That bottle is going to run you about $120. You may actually need that bottle too, because again, for the longevity, you may be reapplying a little bit more often. And because it is such a nice fragrance, it really wouldn't be necessarily a waste of money to get that bigger bottle if you do like the scent. In terms of final thoughts about Burberry, the cologne line itself, the fragrance line itself, has always been hit or miss for me. Some men can pull off Burberry Touch. That was my first experience with the Burberry fragrance line. I, unfortunately, cannot. I don't have the skin chemistry for it, and Burberry Touch is a very strong, aggressive fragrance. I just can't do it. You have Burberry London and Burberry Brit. They didn't quite do it for me either. Although, as they started to go on, they started to get a little bit better. The first one that really hit for me from the Burberry line was Burberry Brit Rhythm. I thought it was a very beautiful fragrance. I liked it much better than the Brit, and it's one of the ones I was excited because I could finally start to get into the fragrances from Burberry, because I love the design house so much. The next one that I got was the Burberry Splash, and that was a very clean version, and I like that. I like fresh, clean fragrances. By far, my favorite to date, prior to the one that we're going to be talking about, or the one that we have talked about, is the Burberry Sport. Burberry Sport is a very, very good fragrance. It's not as expensive as the other ones, and it's not as talked about, but it's a beautiful fragrance. However, Mr. Burberry, by far my favorite. It's really, I think, going to be a game changer in terms of Burberry fragrances. It's going to be the one Burberry fragrance that people are like talking about and hyping up, which I think is great. Me, as I said, I'm a very, very big fan of Burberry. I have a couple of their items I'd like to just show you to, just demonstrate some of the kind of things that they make and that I really like. I do have these beautiful wolf cufflinks. I have a pair of check Burberry dark charcoal check cufflinks. I have the Burberry dark check wallet. I have the Burberry tie clip, as I had mentioned. I have the Burberry wristwatch. Very nice dark check leather strap. And I also have the Burberry leather messenger bag, which is one of my favorite bags. To me and my wife, Burberry is just really like one of those designers that we get excited about and that we want to kind of go in the store and look at things. And even though some of their items are a little bit pricier, to us, it's just a classy, classic, high-end designer. It feels very luxe. And I'm just so happy that Mr. Burberry came out, and it smells that the way that it does. And when they do improve the longevity, probably in the EDP, it's just going to be an amazing fragrance that I think will really redefine the line. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it informative and enjoyable. Please don't forget to rate, subscribe, leave me a comment. I'd love to hear what fragrances you'd like me to review next, or if you have any of your own personal experience or suggestions you'd like to share. I would definitely love to talk to you about it. Again, thank you so much for watching Jason Talks Fragrance, and I hope to see you in the next video. Take care.